Well, here we go again. We're back on the air. This is Radio Entrepreneurs. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Davis, CEO of MAGE and host of Radio Entrepreneurs. Our next guest, returning guest, but I guess this time didn't want to come alone, needed a bodyguard. So we'll introduce both our returning guest and the bodyguard. That's Barry Crimmins and Noreen O'Toole, bodyguard for co-founders and Platinum Partners.
Correct. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tell us about Platinum Partners.
All right. So briefly, by way of background, I'm an attorney. I've done real estate transactional work for over 30 years in southeastern Massachusetts, and a lot of my practice is municipal permitting, which is representing clients before various town and city boards for various permitting needs, zoning boards, planning boards, and the like. Noreen, not to steal her thunder, but she's a former town planner, and she and I had worked together in the town of Stoughton, where she most recently was a town planner. And back around January, she told me she was looking to retire. And at first, I tried to talk her out of retiring, and then when I realized I wasn't going to be able to talk her out of it, I said, well, then why don't we go into business together? And she said, doing what? And I said, well, we can form a municipal permitting consulting business where we can represent not only private sector clients, as I've done right along, but also public sector clients, taking advantage of her background and experience in the public sector. So maybe that's a good segue where I can turn it over to Noreen to...
Well, hello, Noreen. Welcome to the show. Why don't you give us your background and maybe why you thought this was an important group to join?
Yeah, I just think I want to go back to maybe the beginning of Platinum Partners, LLC. For the audience, we're a land use permitting and consulting firm. We'll be serving in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. And we specialize in both residential and commercial development, land use permitting, project management, and municipal consulting services. And as Barry alluded to, combining my municipal side and his private side, we're able to offer a different type of product to the public as far as whether it be permitting, doing, working with towns as far as educating them on whether it be zoning, just, what the role is of a board, housing plans, in various types. And I think that because of my municipal experience, I'm able to be more or less the advanced person for the company, going into the town halls and talking to the planners, talking to the building department personnel, talking to conservation or board of health, because I don't think I can change who I am as a planner because I've been doing it so long and it just is second nature to me. So I think the combination works very well for both of us.
Great. Is this a unique business or is this a crowded field? I mean, I don't know a lot about it.
It's not a particularly crowded field. I mean, the private sector clientele and projects that we would be working on, as I mentioned, are not unlike what I've been doing right along throughout my career. What I think is unique about what we offer, as Noreen said, is combining our experiences, mine from the private sector, hers from the public sector, gives us somewhat of a unique perspective as opposed to somebody that may be entirely from the private sector or from the public sector. One of the areas, again, where we're able to provide services to communities, and just speaking to a gentleman out in the hallway before I came in here, is from a community that's looking to update their zoning bylaws. But the advantage or added ability that we bring to the table for a community is, again, because of Noreen's public sector experience. She has that perspective that she can bring to the table that I think the communities appreciate, while at the same time I can bring the background perspective of the private sector and say, look, you can do this and it may work for your community, but it may not work for the development side. And so by combining those two things, hopefully we can strike a healthy balance and provide both the private sector clients as well as the public sector clients with a value-added bonus as opposed to what might otherwise be out there.
Interesting. Wow. And how do you price your model?
So typically on a project, and it depends on whether it's a private sector versus a public sector project. Typically in the private sector, we're looking at doing things on an hourly basis because we, frankly, a lot of times you just don't know how many meetings you may have to go to before a board or with the project team. Sometimes it's a combination of a flat fee and hourly, but it tends to be more done on an hourly basis on the private side. The public sector clients, they tend to be more flat fee on a project basis. So for instance, again, if a community is looking to have its zoning bylaws updated, we would go in and typically price that on a flat fee basis based on what they're looking for and what we anticipate would be the time required to do what they're looking for us to do.
I think with the behind-the-scenes stuff in the public sector, when I say public, I mean government, it's hard to determine what will be needed because sometimes what happens is when we're dealing with like a commercial client or a business, they may go in and do some upfront research and then they'll come back to us and they may need our services. And what they have seen and what we see really through different eyes. They think they're all set in an area. They say, yeah, we're all set with that. And then when I go in and talk to the town and come back and have a meeting with Barry, they're usually not set at all. So what happens is it's just a different way of approaching it. And I think with the experience, our combined experience, he's the attorney and I'm the planner. So, you know, we get along very well because we do have our
let's get into
boundaries
that.
professionally.
Let's talk about how you divide up your responsibilities, job descriptions.
Right. So again, as Noreen was alluding to, and one of the true advantages of having her on the team with me is, and I'm happy to admit this, that sometimes when the attorney goes into a community, initially, not before the boards, but at the department level, meeting with a town planner, meeting with a building inspector, meeting with a town engineer, there's a certain, sometimes a wall that kind of gets built up between the attorney representing the private client on the one hand and the representatives of the community. They might get a little defensive. They might be a little bit guarded about, or a little suspicious about, are they trying to, pull something here on us? Or like Noreen can go in, and I'll let you speak.
I have more
to
charisma.
this.
I have more
Absolutely.
charisma
Obviously.
with the behind-the-scene people.
Obviously. Better looking, too.
Than an attorney would have. It's not as intimidating to
Right.
walk in and talk to public officials because what they do, I did for 30 years. So we have that connection.
We've been speaking with Barry Crimmins and Noreen O'Toole, co-founders of Platinum Partners. Barry and Noreen, if someone's looking for Platinum Partners, how do they find it?
Okay, so we're on the web at www.platinumpartnersllc.com. It's important to have the S in partners and the LLC, and folks can take a look at our website. It has all of our contact information on there. They can send us an email at our first names at platinumpartnersllc.com as well.
Thanks for being on the show today.
Okay, thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Appreciate
Remind
it.
everybody this is Radio Entrepreneurs.